You either die a hero or you see yourself becoming the person talking to a camera in public. Hi and welcome back. My name is Lo. I am in a public park. The least comfortable place I could probably choose to sit down. Anyone heading in or out of the park will be walking past me and my camera. My name's Lo. I'm an artist, and earlier this year I did The Artist's Way for the first time, and I also finished it on the first try, which I have been told is not common, not normal. Most people give up around week 7, and you could credit it to my tenacious nature. I'd probably say it's more of a attitude that I have of refusing to give up on anything ever, even when I probably should. This is a video about The Artist's Way, and because I suffer from a very serious case of can't shut the fuck upism, there will be chapters and timestamps. I have also made the mistake of reading other people's comment sections. This one piece of hair gonna be a reoccurring character, and I'd like to take this moment to quote my favorite philosopher, 𝐬𝐨𝐜𝐿 on Tumblr. People be saying things so definitively, like, man, I think it depends, and I just want us all to have, man, I think it depends, just in the back of our head. If you ever see a flash of fear in my eyes, that is because I am remembering all the comments I've read, and I am terrified terrified of someone on purpose misconstruing me. So what is The Artist's Way? The Artist's Way is a book first published in 1992 by 𝐬𝐭𝐫𝐞𝐿. I don't think she's related to 𝐦𝐤𝐜𝐚. I've been wrong before. She was married to Martin Scorsese. Find that out. That was shocking information. And The Artist's Way is also something that every single creative person at the brink of like a mental health episode has at least thought about. Most people have started it. Sometimes some people finish it. It's a 12-week course with a chapter for every week focused on a different part of creative healing with reoccurring tasks. So every week there are new tasks pertaining to the focus of the week, and then there are also there's also babies crying. The weekly tasks are based around you know what? This is creative healing. Nothing's going my way. There are weekly tasks that pertain to whatever the focus of the week is. Then there are artist dates and the morning pages. Yeah, I know you've heard of those. I started The Artist's Way in May. I kind of wanted it to finish right before my birthday. My birthday was 1 week ago today. I guess symbolically I wanted to finish it before my birthday. In the beginning, I was pretty resistant. I was kind of making fun of the entire thing in my head. I could catch myself being more negative than probably necessary, so I could kind of give myself a little slap on the wrist and be like, no, at least pretend that you're taking it seriously. And as time went on, I could tell that I was becoming a bit lighter. I was becoming a bit more curious and kind to the world. I did also start new antidepressants, so that might have had an effect. But let's for the sake of argument say that The Artist's Way at least had like a tiny minuscule just a teeny tiny bit part of the credit. And there's a dog. Like I said, I also finished on the first try, which I've deduced is not the normal outcome. The common outcome is that people give it a valid try, and then about halfway they're like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this anymore, which I get. Neither did I. So let's talk about the morning pages. Probably the most famous part of The Artist's Way. 3 pages of longhand journaling first thing in the morning. Shockingly to most people, because it seems like a very common complaint that people are like, I am not doing the morning pages. The morning pages were by far the easiest task for me to complete. Everyone else dreads it, but I've been journaling not daily, but I've been journaling a couple of times a week, and usually at that point I was journaling like 2 pages 3 or 4 times a week. So I was doubling the like journal outcome, but I wasn't going from 0, haven't journaled in 10 years, to 21 pages. I went from like 10 pages to 21 pages. I think that is one of the reasons people struggle so much with it, is they have absolutely no practice in talking with a book. Hi, Sophie Baldwin. In the beginning, it took me about like 45 minutes to an hour every single day. Now it takes me about like 30 minutes, sometimes less. I will say though, I stopped going to the gym. I am a morning gym goer. It was simply not possible without me getting up at like 4:30 for me to get up, get my morning pages done, go to the gym, get ready, and also like not be a frazzled mess. You know, I'm willing to I'm willing to say, give you like partial agreement on that just being an excuse. The other states I struggled with more. It got better. Main part and like the important part of the other states, it's like taking time out of your day to do something that fills you up instead of drains you. So my favorite things was going to the library, or just going for walks, or sitting in bed and reading. And I felt really bad, especially in the beginning, about not doing it correctly. That is something also we'll get back to, the doing it correctly thing that has people in a chokehold. I got better at just being like, what would make me feel better? Whatever I am at right now, what would make it go up? Okay, don't fall into the trap of thinking that scrolling is going to make you feel better. Also, I don't have anyone else but me to take care of. So, like reading the book and they're like, if you have 3 young children, maybe you have to get up an hour early. Yeah, those 3 children, that's just 3 tiny versions of me in a trench coat. I'm not lacking in me time, except from like work, because I do work too much. I'm not arguing with my husband about him making dinner so that I can take time out of my day to go to the movie theater. And then there are the weekly tasks that are all centered around whatever theme of the week. They can be either like physical tasks, or they can be journaling tasks. I did see a lot of people say that they would do their weekly tasks as journaling prompts for their morning pages, which is a great idea. That is a great way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, which is why I didn't do them, because I'm stupid. I saw morning pages as the place where I was supposed to just like puke up whatever was on my mind when I was waking up, and usually that wasn't making a chart of all the people I'm jealous of in my life. 6 a.m. on a Thursday, and you start off the day thinking about how you like hate your cousins or something. But a lot of the time it did kind of turn into me sitting down on like a Sunday, doing my journaling tasks and reading the next chapter and doing my check-in. The physical tasks were a lot harder to get myself to do, simply because I then would have to like one of them was to like go out and find pretty rocks. And I told myself this week I am going to actually do the weekly tasks. This week I am going to actually go out and do the physical weekly tasks. I think the only task I did the first week was go for a 20-minute walk. And I was pissed for the entire 20 minutes. Also, she does say that you don't have to like do all the tasks. Every week there's also assigned reading. I kind of treated it as homework. It did get better when I didn't call it homework. 13-year-old Lo is still in here somewhere, and she does not like the thought of having to do homework. So with the weekly reading, some chapters are longer than others. Don't know why I felt the need to tell you that. That's kind of how books work. In week 4, you are put on a reading break, which I kind of took as a consume less, you dumb fuck. The book was published in 1992. You know, I mean, what did people do in 1992? I mean, they went on planes a lot easier. So it was a lot easier to get on planes. complaints. So I can't tell you what people did, but it seems from the book that a lot of people were reading. I think that the modern equivalent of the reading break is less scrolling and less constant stimuli. In a shocking turn of events, it worked like a charm. Now, there are some issues, common complaints, and some questions. The biggest and most common complaint is the large focus on God and spirituality. This is where I'd like to remind everyone of my favorite quote again. Everyone, let's listen to my favorite philosopher. Am I religious? No. Did I, at times, roll my eyes at the amount of talking about God? Yes. Did I sigh heavily at the first Bible quote? Indeed. Quite frankly, I have more faith in astrology than most organized religions because at least I know the moon is real. It is also not up to Julia Cameron to several years before my parents met to write a book that would be 100% catering to me in 2026. This is a book that talks about God and spirituality and the universe in a woo-woo way. Some people could not deal with it. That's fine. Some people loved it. That's also fine. And you could also be kind of like me, where at times it put you off. She is very clear that you don't have to see it as God, capital G. She says you could see it as good orderly direction, kind of just like the universe. I don't particularly believe in fate. However, what I do believe in is that our brains can do a lot of weird stuff. It kind of transformed into, whenever she was talking about God to me just became whatever part of me that I was trying to tap into. Is it insanely self-centered to put myself in the role of God? Sure. Oh my god, there's a bird. That scared the shit out of me. On a good day when the sun is shining and I'm taking a walk and I'm in a good mood, I can maybe look up, close my eyes and be like, oh, maybe the universe is not that bad. Diet spiritual, if you will. Another very common complaint is how much time it takes. Julia Cameron says in the book that it takes about 7 to 10 hours a week. I did the calculations and I think she might be right. It just doesn't feel right. It feels a lot more than 7 to 10 hours. I guess depends on how much time you choose to spend on the different things. The morning pages and the artist dates are definitely the most time-consuming things as a whole. If you do the morning pages quickly, you are spending 3.5 hours. If you spend an hour, you have spent 7 hours a day. 7 hours a day journaling. If you spend an hour, you've spent 7 hours a week. And then the artist dates, I think she recommends them to be 2 hours. Sometimes my artist dates kind of turn into several small moments throughout the week. So I'd be like, you know what, I'm going to get off the tube a stop early and then walk home. And I'd sit around and read a bit. Or I'd stop at the library, stuff like that, And it kind of adds up. The reason why it feels so big and time consuming is even when you're not actively working on it, it's still going around in there. It feels like you're on a fucking 24/7 artist way watch, okay? You see something and you kind of go, a little ding just goes off. Then there is the comments about it feeling too limiting and unrealistic and coming from a place of privilege. I do have to admit that when the author wrote about buying her first horse in a while, I laughed until I started hiccuping. Because the thought of someone so sincerely saying to me that they bought a horse as a little treat, don't get me started again. I do agree that having someone say, just leap and the net will appear, is very frustrating because that's not really how it works. It does at times give very much pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I just allowed myself to roll my eyes, kind of how like whatever you do when like some older person starts, you know, talking about kids these days. My favorite complaint, however, by far, is people complaining about how other people are doing it and how they're doing it wrong. A very human thing is kind of seeing the things you like as a part of you, as a reflection of you, and if other people don't like those things, then that must be a personal attack because they are criticizing or not liking this thing that is a part of you. I got very annoyed with the amount of people saying, well, if you didn't do it like this or if you didn't do it like that, of course you're not going to get anything out of it. It's just maybe it's just not, maybe not everyone's going to like it. I know, shocking realization. White woman in a park has thought of the century. Someone called BBC. You know, people would complain that people weren't doing the correct type of artist date, or that people weren't journaling in like a big enough book. I don't even want to think about having to spend 2 hours trying to fill A4 size paper. I would simply kill myself. It's a want or a need to blame others. Like, there's no good or bad in it. It just is. Some people are going to enjoy what they got out of it and other people aren't. And sometimes that is just the end of the sentence. My takeaway and conclusions. The Artist's Way is a self-help book. I think maybe sometimes people, I don't know if they forget that it's a self-help book or that they forget the like self part, like the individual part. I think that kind of tracks back to why people get so annoyed when people aren't doing it correctly. The only way you could ever get something out of something is doing it the correct way. I don't necessarily think it's should you do the Artist's Way. It is more about, do you want to make changes and in what ways, and do you think that the Artist's Way is something that is going to be able to help you in that. You know, maybe you should pick up Atomic Habits like everyone else. I don't know. The point that I think I'm trying to get to is that a lot of people put the book in the center, not the people. In the book opening, Julia Cameron writes about meeting a novelist who had read her book and says, "And so, encounters like mine in the cafe became commonplace. The sentence is always the same. Your book changed my life. No, I often reply, you changed your life. You used the tools I laid out for you." And I think that is probably the best summarization of the Artist's Way. The Artist's Way is not gonna change your life unless you let it. And also, you don't have to let it. The Artist's Way has not changed my life. So, as long as what you get out of it is whatever level you're at, it takes you up or keeps you, as long as it's not getting you down, good. It's hard to like differentiate what is doing it right, doing what fits for you, and doing it wrong, because it all depends on like what your personal goal is. If your personal goal is to do like _𝐸𝐻𝐸, who read The Artist's Way and now has a Grammy, I think maybe you're going to be a bit disappointed if your goal is to end up like _𝐸𝐻𝐸. Who knows? Maybe in 5 years, that'll be me up on the Grammy stage. I could not stand the talk about synchronicities. And even though I think like maybe I know what she's talking about, every week in the check-in, she would be like, have you seen any synchronicities lately? And I think I said yes, maybe once. For some reason, that's where my woo-woo stops. I will download CoStar, but don't you dare ask me if I've seen any unexpected opportunities. Alright, I'll lose it. I think if you want to do the Artist's Way, you should. If there's a part of you that wants to do it, then you should. And I think you should also tweak the tasks a bit, and that's also fine. And then we get to the ship of Theseus, because how much can you change something before it is no longer its original object? I think it is fine to make tweaks and changes to the tasks, but I think if you want to get the most out of it, there we go, that's very diplomatic. I think if you want to get the most out of it, you should not be tweaking them to such a degree that it is no longer challenging. The point of these things is that they are kind of disrupting whatever pattern you are currently in. So I think you can take a task that is too hard and change it until it is just hard enough. I don't think it should be easy. Oh, I'm so scared of the comment section. Instead of writing 3 pages in the morning, set a timer and write for that amount of time. You know, that is a very common complaint, and I get it, because when 3 pages is the goal, you are going to have to sit there until those 3 pages are done. And that's very hard to do, especially when you have a life that is waiting for you after the morning pages. So instead, maybe set a timer for 30 minutes, and then you know that you have those 30 minutes, and then you do your best to write as much as you can. You can also do them maybe throughout the day. I get the like emptying your head part of it, and like that's good. I also think it is very good for your psyche to start off the day with a win. If you do them, and that's the first thing you do in the morning, it's kind of like making your bed, but a lot harder. So it's not like making your bed at all, actually. You get the feeling of having done something good, challenging, first thing in the morning. If anything, it is like going to the gym in the morning. You do get to walk around smug, knowing that you are, in ways, better than everyone else around you. I started writing notes for this video like a couple of weeks in to The Artist Way. And it was interesting to see my notes from like during the beginning of the experience. I assumed that this video would be a hot take, I didn't like The Artist Way thing. In the beginning, I was like, this thing sucks. And instead, it's more of a lukewarm take. Lukewarm take. I didn't mind The Artist Way, and maybe you should check it out. I don't know if the algorithm is going to pick up on that as well as it would if I was absolutely ranting right now. But, and also, is The Artist Way all that is made out to be? I don't know, you tell me. As I'm talking, I'm like realizing that it sounds like The Artist Way just sucked all like strong opinions out of me. I'm sure everyone's really, that's a plane. Hope you can hear it. I'm sure everyone is really happy about watching this video, thinking, get to the point. And then the point is the most lackluster, life is what you make it bullshit. To end it off, I did get some questions from Instagram. What was the most enjoyable task, and what was a task that you learnt the most from? I mean, the most like enjoyable tasks are usually artist day, because you're just farting around. Your only goal is to do something that you like. The most valuable tasks were, to me, the morning pages. I know you don't want to do them. I know you don't want to do them, but they were really helpful. The morning pages and the no reading week, because the no reading week was just like a reminder to myself, because I was already aware that I was spending too much time on the internet with this like horrible FOMO of feeling like I needed to constantly consume to like not miss out on anything. So when I suddenly had to like make breakfast in silence, I was like, oh my god, there are so many thoughts in my head, just constantly thinking. This thing never shuts up. I had been layering, unlayering podcasts and music and YouTube videos and Instagram reels just on top of it. So I guess what you can kind of get from those two, the most valuable tasks were the ones where I had to sit with my own brain. The thing about morning pages is that because you are doing them every single day and you're doing so much of them, you're bound almost to get something out of it. A lot of the time I got, oh my god, girl, again? Because I kept like complaining about the same things over and over and over again. And at least like maybe I didn't necessarily like sit down and make an action plan, but at least I'm like now aware of certain things that bother me, instead of walking around being like, something's wrong, but I don't know what. Basic question, would you 100% wholeheartedly recommend doing The Artist Way? I would 100% wholeheartedly recommend trying to make your life better. You know, there are people that I would recommend The Artist Way to, and there are other people that I wouldn't even mention the book around. You haven't done anything wrong with the question, but I sense a tell me if I should or shouldn't do it. Not necessarily like trying to give me the responsibility of it, but wanting the choice to be taken out of your hands. And I get it, because that is my favorite thing, is when I don't have to be responsible for things. Oh, how I become this consistent. Now, with all the bad that the internet and social media provides us, I do also have thousands of people that I'm a little bit embarrassed to be seen failing in front of. I've never seen myself as a stubborn person, but considering that is one of the top 3 words people use to describe me a lot of the time, I guess I might need to face the music. Try to see if there is someone that you can stay accountable to. See if you can like maybe find someone to do it with you, or someone that you would be like, oh, I really don't want to tell my friend that I'm 2 weeks back, like I haven't even looked at the chapters. Because it can't be like your laziest friend who has never finished anything. Also, don't aim for 100. You are not going to be getting 100 throughout this entire thing. I'd say aim for like 90 and be happy with 70. And I think 50% of it is the artist date and the morning pages. So if you do those, throw in a couple of tasks, you're golden. And the final question was, did you do most weekly tasks? No. And that is also something that I've seen people be like, if you don't do all the tasks, then what's the point? The point is getting something good out of it. Now, there was never a week where I didn't do any. Week 1, I did do one singular 20-minute walk, but I did do at least one task. I also always gravitated towards the ones that were in my journal. Maybe laziness, maybe out of laziness. And we have reached the end of this exorbitantly long video. If you've done the artist way, I would love to hear your experiences about it in the comments. Once again, my favorite philosopher. This is not democracy, okay? I'm not afraid of deleting comments. Anyways, that was everything. Bye. Sorry, there's a fly.